session. And a request was made to bring forth a repeal of the Oakland's cannabis ordinance. Many questions were raised about the committee who spent months investigating and proposing a draft ordinance. At one point, I was asked if I knew the difference between indigo and sativa, and I didn't know what I was being asked, and I went blank. And to me, indigo is a color. It's a deep reddish blue color. Stevia is sweetness. It's a natural form of sweetening, and I just went blank. And then as I'm driving home, I'm saying, oh my God, I can't believe I just went blank. And I realized it wasn't indigo, it's indica. And it's a plant, the same as a sativa, so it's all in the pronunciation. So indica and sativa are two species of plants, cannabis plants. And one is used for stimulating, and one is used for relaxing and an effective pain reliever that a lot of people use for medical reasons. And I said, why didn't the name just trigger that I should have known the right name when I heard it? And I realized because it's really THC and CBD that we discussed. Those are the common names that everybody talks about. But honestly, when we met, and I talk about being proud. I am so proud of the committee that was formed to discuss cannabis. We had a councilman who was so pro and a councilman who was so con, if I recall. He's right here. I had a member of the Rec Commission. I had a representative from the Board of Health. I had a representative from the First Aid Squad. We had our planner. We had our administrator. We had residents who were very pro, and there were residents who were very con. And the very con person ended up being the secretary and took a lot of good minutes for us, thank you. There was a lot of investigation done. And I want to thank the committee, worked hard, came up with ideas, and we focused on safety, traffic, and parking. And of course, the financial was the big incentive, but not just throwing money away. And we discussed the different licenses that are available in the state, the zoning in our town, where and what we had. And by the end, it was approximately 6 months we met. It was during the pandemic, so we were on Zoom regularly. We saw each other on Zoom. And at the end, we had a very good ordinance. The planning board unanimously endorsed the ordinance. It came before the council, and the council unanimously voted for it. No one abstained, no one voted no. And the different licenses that were available in the state, in case anybody was wondering, was a license for cultivator, manufacturing, the middleman, which is called the wholesaler, distributor, and retailer. And we all agreed right from day one that we would not be allowing, we would prohibit retail. We didn't want retail in our town because there's really no place except around the residents. And our ordinance that was finally voted on prohibits retail. Our ordinance lists a very distinct zoning map. Our ordinance requires safety, traffic, and parking regulations. It has zoning building regulations and requires site plan approval before they could even go ahead. We will get 2% of the gross sales, which is mind-boggling. I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago, and I met with a representative from Lodi. And of course, they allow retail, so I can't really compare because I think retail brings in more money. But the first quarter, they were in business. Lodi got a check for $75,000, and then the second quarter, Lodi got a check for $115,000. They're estimating Lodi's numbers, and I spoke to them. They're estimating that by the second year, they will be getting $400,000, which is about 2 tax points. Our ordinance controls odors. It would help us with the purchase of water, which we will have to do if we go ahead with sewers in town. And we require at least 10% of the workforce must be Oakland residents. The 2%, and this was another negotiating issue, the 2% just would not go into a general budget. It would be specific. It would go towards capital or lowering the debt of the town. And so this is what we did. And the bottom line is the state, and according to the state statute, the ordinance cannot be repealed for 5 years. We can work with it, we can amend it, we can all work together, but I just want to thank the committee that worked so hard and was so diligent. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hello, Mayor.
Hello.
Mike Guadino, 34 Harper Street. I was a member of the Cannabis Committee. I'd like to address what went on the last meeting 2 weeks ago with the yelling, the bloviating, and the virtue signaling that was going on around the Cannabis ordinance and the Cannabis Committee. I'm not going to poke holes in the Google research that was presented. Rather, if anybody else wishes to do that, they're more than welcome. I'm going to talk about the disparaging of the Cannabis Committee that took place. Now, it was the epitome of cowardice to attack people who were not in the room to defend themselves. I was embarrassed as an Oakland resident, and I was especially embarrassed for many of the council members who were here. I mean, I work closely with a lot of you people. I've been around a long time, a lot more than 9 years. I've worked closely with a lot of members here, and I find many of them my friends, and I was embarrassed at the behavior that one of their colleagues was doing. So during that meeting, there was an ambush gotcha question directed at you and Councilman Pignatelli. And as you just basically explained, we talked a lot about the different plants. We talked about THC, CBD, and the different strains and what it means. And including, it was brought up about the munchies, which is, the technical term is spike appetite, and how some medical providers are prescribing it for people with chemotherapy. For some people who have chemotherapy, they have issues with their appetite and weakness, so some medical providers are prescribing it for, to help with their appetite, to help with their strength. Now, the purpose of the committee, again, was to take advantage of this new law while protecting the borough. As you mentioned, we want to protect the aquifers, we want to protect the odor nuisance, we want to keep these things in these businesses in the industrial areas, and we want to keep them unmarked out of respect for the 38% of the people in town who do not support cannabis legalization. As you mentioned, 5 criteria: wholesale, manufacture, distribution, and cultivation. And the first thing, 3 of those things do not have special water requirements and do not produce an odor. Cultivation, though, does require water, as well as it does produce an odor during 2 weeks of its growing cycle. So when we talked about the map you spoke about last meeting as well as here, we agreed to put this particular type of business on the other side of 287, basically in the woods. That was the first thing we did. And as you mentioned, there's no retail. We did not recommend the 5th retail. There will be no retail. There seems to be some misinformation out there. There will be no retail. There are no Oakland sales of cannabis going on. There will be no pot shops in town. None. Now, with our recommendations that you had mentioned, cultivators had to bring in their own water. Cultivators also had to provide their own air filters or scrubbers to help keep the smells from getting out. There was to be no signage, nothing. These are going to be basically blank envelopes on the cars, on the trucks, on the buildings. No signage that if you walk by there and they followed all the recommendations, you wouldn't know, or the requirements from the ordinance, you wouldn't know if these businesses were cultivating cannabis, you wouldn't know if there was an Amazon shop, or you know there's a bunch of guys in there reading. You have no idea what was going on in this place. It was not going to be a nuisance. But if they did violate it, in the ordinance, it does say there is a way to repeal the license. And if a license is repealed, they cannot get another license in the future. I know in a meeting back in October or somewhere in the fall, there was confusion over whether we can repeal or not repeal. It's in the ordinance. It's right in the middle of the ordinance. Now, during the 6 months of research, Mayor and Council, you went and visited businesses. We called businesses all over the country. We argued, didn't we argue?
Yes.
Yes, we had several arguments. We argued, we discussed, we researched, and in the end we came to the negotiated settlement we thought was right for Oakland. And Frank and I presented right here, October 13th, 2021, everything the committee had done for those 6 months, and asking the Mayor and Council to look at it. It was October 13th, 2021, so I welcome anybody to go back on YouTube. The Mayor and Council meeting of that night is still on YouTube, to go back and watch it, and you can watch Frank and my presentation, as we represented the Cannabis Committee, the committee just did a phenomenal job all around. So, just to basically close out, when we first met, we all talked about what our opinions were about cannabis. We all gave our different opinions. That's how you know who was for it, against, what not. And I basically said, I don't use cannabis products at all, not at all. And those that know me well can vouch for the fact that I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee. I don't eat red meat, and I have very strong opinions about that. I do about everything I believe. But I also support freedom and individual liberties, and I do not support authoritarianism or the nanny state. So if I like something or don't like something, it's my business. It's not for me to tell other people what to, what not to like. The same way if a councilman likes or dislikes something that is legal, it's not for him to invoke his will on a town that he took an oath of office to represent. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Matt Goodrich, 72 Hiawatha Boulevard. I haven't been up here in a while. That's everybody. So I was on the ad hoc committee as well, and I gave my opinion being I hate marijuana. Did it once in my life, didn't enjoy it. I hate the smell of it, but I like money. So, which is why I was on board with what the committee formed. And the committee, I mean, everybody really bumped me because I missed a lot of meetings because of kids and all that. But I mean, they did a terrific job. So to hear a council member disparage an entire committee last week or 2 weeks ago, was appalling to me as a taxpayer and as a resident. So Councilman McCann, I'm assuming that you're going to be looking to prohibit alcohol, tobacco, prescription drugs, right? Because they also affect pregnant women and fetuses just like marijuana do. So you're going to want to get rid of them too?
Well, it's not a debate.
Okay. And then according to your campaign Facebook page, you held a fundraiser event at JR Cigars. I'm thinking maybe you should take the funds that you made during that campaign event in 2018 from yet another failed campaign and donate that money to maybe like a high-risk pregnancy center, because you care about women's health more than you care about money. So whatever cold apology you may give about your behavior at this last meeting towards the citizens and the people who served in the committee means nothing to me and probably means nothing to anybody in the committee as well. And as a tax-paying resident of this town, I would demand your resignation. No elected official, paid or not, should act like you did. You're an embarrassment to the borough and its residents.
Hi, Mayor. Frank DePentima, 6 Mount Lakes Road. I, too, as we know, was a member of the Cannabis Committee. And Mayor, just to rehash some things, I think you'll recall that I did express interest to go on the committee, but said I wanted to talk to you beforehand. You did call me, so we can talk it out. And if you remember that call, I said I am absolutely 1,000% a no.
And that's why I put you on the committee.
A no, right. And I said, Linda, honestly, if that's going to be an issue for you, I understand. I don't have to be on there. And those were your words. I want both sides of the story. So, and as Councilman Pignatelli pointed out, what happened was everyone working together, both sides of the discussion, came to the consensus of what would be best for Oakland and what could be good for us to take advantage of. Retail was the automatic elimination for everyone. So I don't like how the committee was characterized last time. Again, I share what my 2 committee members have said up here. I think it's disingenuous for people to make statements about work that the committee did without speaking to any member of the committee themselves. I mean, I can pot shot any one of you guys with all kinds of budget regulations right now that none of you would be able to answer. And does that mean that you guys are inadequate to do your job? No. That's not your role. That's not what you do. In terms of the tax support, let's talk a little bit about that, because there really is something that's important there. What the residents should remember is that, as a general rule, every $100,000 spent or saved, on average, is about $20 to the average home. Least I'd be accused of not doing my Google research. Using last year's financial figures for this borough, it's actually $18.58 to be exact. But $20 is, within the margin of error. I think it's okay. So let's talk about that. Every $100,000, if this company generates $5 million in revenue, 2% is 100,000. That's going directly against the debt service. What was our debt service last year? $2.3 million. So we're saving nearly 5% of that cost with one business in town that can help the community here. Money saved for the residents of Oakland are very important. It's the same thing that's been going on since I served on this council back in 2006. Who are the people that struggle the most in town? The seniors are the ones that struggle, and the people that don't make 6 figures. So every dollar for them is important, and we need to be looking at ways to save money and generate money, not just poo-pooing things based on personal ideas. Last thing I wanted to say was I do agree with Mike and the comments he made. I think the way one of the councilmen conducted themselves last meeting was appalling. And all my time being involved in Oakland politics, which dates back to 1998, and I've worked with every one of you, mostly every one of you, and I've never turned anyone away who's asked for any sort of help, Republican or Democrat. I have to say that is probably the worst display of behavior I've ever seen, and I believe the resident who spoke at the end of the meeting, I don't remember her name, deserves a big apology. For her to be berated and bullied for her own comments is absolutely unconscionable. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Joanne Ashkenazi, 501 Round Toe Valley Road, Oakland, New Jersey. I second what these two gentlemen said. The behavior was appalling. It was absolutely appalling, and there should be apologies issued. First of all, somebody who says that they Googled something as research. I don't know any academic who would accept on a paper Google being cited as research on a paper, all right? The list, Forbes magazine, about the deleterious effects of cannabis on in vitro fetuses says that it's not true. You can pull your research from anything. Low birth rates, is it environment? Is it the mother's diet? Is it the mother's health concerns? There are many things that contribute to a low birth rate, all right? So there are several things. Refusing cannabis, growing in Oakland. Well, other things that affect a mother's birth rate are smoking. Are we going to get rid of all the cigarettes in town? It's liquor. Are we going to close Oakland Liquor and the ShopRite Liquor and forbid any restaurant from having a bar and serving liquor? What else are we going to do, all right? Sushi. Sushi can be very dangerous to a mother or an infant's health, all right? The other thing is cheese. Cheese can have a bacteria called Listeria that's very harmful to an unborn baby, all right? Let us watch out. It's important to watch out for a mother's health. But when a baby is born, what do we care about that baby? Do we make sure it eats properly? Do we make sure it's well housed? Do we make sure it's well clothed? Do we make sure it gets a good education? And most of all, do we ensure that child can go to school from preschool through a university without getting killed? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mame Schwartzfisher, 187 West Oakland Ave. I inhale.
Oh, cigarettes?
No,
Oh.
I'm not ill.
That's a Bill Clinton joke, isn't it?
No, I don't know. Sorry, I'm sorry.
In the 70s, everybody was smoking. And I think Google is a wonderful way to learn things. I'm on the computer all the time. And according to the DEA administration, opioids caused 71,000 deaths in this country last year. Methadone, given out by the state of New Jersey, has 32,000 deaths. Cocaine, 24,000 deaths. Tobacco, 7 million deaths related to smoking.
No.
Heroin,
They inhale.
they inhale. I did that too.
Oh, okay.
I also eat red meat.
Oh,
Heroin, 200,000.
wow. This is New Jersey?
Alcohol,
Where is this?
the
When-
DEA administration.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Just put in related deaths and alcohol or whatever.
In the
you
US.
want.
So this is in the US.
US, not just
US.
New Jersey.
No, the United States. Alcohol, 95,000 related deaths from alcohol. And no related deaths from marijuana. You cannot overdose on it. You can't. In the 70s, I mean, we grew our own. These guys are probably
We went personal a lot
producing.
tonight.
Memory lane.
I had a horse, man. We had good manure. You know?
Stay on the old time.
And we had plants as high as my garage roof. I could smoke one of those, get in my truck and drive it with absolutely no problem. Never would I consume alcohol and get in a vehicle and try to operate it. There is such a big difference between all these other chemicals and marijuana. A very big difference. I mean, if no woman should smoke when she's pregnant. I mean, that's just, no alcohol. I mean, this is just common sense. But, everybody says, oh, if you smoke marijuana, it's going to lead to other addictions. And according to the DEA, it is not what they call a gateway drug. I never went on to heroin, cocaine. I think I smoked my last joint when I was...
I don't think we should hear this.
I think we're good.
This is Ash Wednesday. Is there anything else you want to bear?
Other than eating red meat. But, I mean, it doesn't lead to other things. And, I mean, I worked at the library. When the Valley School kids come in and they're dropping rolling papers, I know exactly what they're doing. So whether we have a store to sell it or not isn't going to stop the kids from getting it, because they're going to get it. I wouldn't even know how. I mean, we grew our own, but I don't know how people would get it today. But when you compare all the other abuses that we do to ourselves, marijuana is so low on the list. I mean, it really shouldn't be this upsetting. And if you guys need help, I need a job.
10% off from the residents, yeah.
I mean, alcohol kills brain cells. Marijuana doesn't. Alcohol can cause violent crimes. Marijuana doesn't. I mean, you smoke something, you sit down, oh yeah, this is nice, Lawrence Welk is on. You mellow. It's not like it, wires you out. And I think this is a good way for the town to help financially. There are 75 homes right now in Oakland in foreclosure. People can't afford to pay their bills. This is a shame. We're in Bergen County, which should be a very rich, wealthy area, and I'm seeing people lose everything, and it shouldn't be. So don't worry so much about marijuana. Listen to my friend who's 82 years old. Better living through chemistry. That's what he said. Thank you.
Anybody else? You have to give your name and address.
Yeah, of course. Hello, Justin from 7 Benear Street. I'm here today to address the topic of cannabis for the future of Oakland. Not my business, Kusala Care, that we've been debating for the last couple months, but I'm here to defend cannabis in general. So the advocates throughout the nations have been defending the merits and benefits of the cannabis plant since the failed war on drugs in the 70s. I myself have been a vocal cannabis advocate for over a decade due to the improvements in my quality of life utilizing this demonized plant. Whether the council feels ready for it or not, cannabis is here and it's not going anywhere. The public presence of cannabis is only growing in New Jersey, and along with that will grow a public pressure to the council to address the topics such as the strange unregulated cannabis byproducts sold in gas stations and corner stores all over the state. I'm sure that we've seen it just stopping by. It's all over. It's all over the place, and they're unregulated. They're not. There's a lot of. I'm sure the article that we handed out last time addressed a lot of those things, that they're high in arsenic, high in heavy metals, pesticides, fungicides. So there's a lot of problems coming with these unregulated products. Respectfully, I'd like to address Mr. McCann's comments at the last council meeting. He finally reached out to me after months of trying to start a dialogue with him about his views on this matter. Apparently, he received a lot of calls and texts from people upset with him about his behavior and comments 2 weeks ago. We had an hour-plus long phone call that I felt was very productive and cleared up some confusion for the both of us. The council meeting last week clearly demonstrated that everyone on the council needs to be more open to more objective current research and education on cannabis and this upcoming legal industry. I'm sure Mayor Schwager and Councilman Pignatelli did plenty of research regarding the legality, risks, and benefits of the legal cannabis industry, even if they aren't too familiar with the plant itself. To quickly give some basic education on this plant, I keep hearing this debate between the sativa, indica. It's sativa and indica. And there's actually a third species, Cannabis ruderalis. So these three species are, there's significant disagreement about this, and there still needs to be more legal research and university studies to really nail down the morphology of this plant. The subspecies categorization simply describes the plant's physical structures, such as leaf and plant shape. It's not responsible directly for the effects upon consumption. Although indica is typically referred to as being more sedative and sativa as more uplifting effects, this is still an insufficient categorization for classifying the physical, mental, and spiritual effects of the thousands of different cannabis cultivars, or strains, as they're called. Public health when implementing cannabis into society is a valid concern. That was brought up by Mr. McCann last meeting. It needs to be more of a public conversation. Legalized cannabis has numerous societal and economic benefits, such as lower rates of prescription drug use and overdose. And I'm very passionate about this. It was mentioned that cannabis is not viewed as a gateway drug anymore. It's actually being accepted as an exit drug, which is what I used it for. I used to be addicted to a lot of benzodiazepines and a lot of prescription drugs that I got off of thanks to cannabis, and I'm healthier than ever now. So I just think it's a failure from governing bodies to educate the public or themselves on any of these topics to a meaningful degree. It's a very surface level understanding that I think that the government officials have, and this will inevitably cause more confusion and issues. This discussion has been had for over 50 years, and a society has decided to move forward with the implementation of this plan into society. The citizens of Oakland shouldn't be denied the potential economic and societal benefits that this industry could bring. Just because the government officials haven't properly educated themselves on this matter over the last 50 years when this discussion has been had, it doesn't mean that everyone else isn't on board with the current science and research. Whether it's cell phones, electric cars, or new medical innovations, there will always be pros and cons to new implementations into society. We as a society agreed to implement these new changes in hopes that the pros will outweigh the cons, thus improving humanity and society through a net positive. The consensus has been made at a national and state level that Americans want to start implementing cannabis into society. I suggest that Oakland as a municipality stop resisting the inevitable changes of the future and plan for a way to implement these changes in a timely, careful manner so that the pros heavily outweigh the cons. Thank you for listening, and I hope the water is also addressed soon, please. The water issue. I hope that's addressed soon too, please. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, George Lutfi, 7 Veneer Street. I'm here tonight as a citizen of Oakland. I understand I'm affiliated with Kusala Care, but that's not what's on the agenda tonight. I'd like to speak about the cannabis ordinance and the concerns of cannabis on public health. Coincidentally, cannabis was legalized by the state of New Jersey 2 years ago today, February 22nd, 2021. Of course, they had to consider the effects of the public health, especially when it remained illegal on a federal level. They make it clear what needs to be done in 8 simple points, and they further elaborate on this on how businesses can have their licenses revoked for related violations. If I may, I have just one page just from the state's cannabis ordinance.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the New Jersey, we're engaging in the use of firearms. These are all very serious effects to the public health. And as reminded by the ordinance, the state is covering all of these things. They recognize these, and they're spending taxpayer money to address these. In addition, there are health and safety standards set by the state that they require elaborate testing on all products being cultivated or manufactured. Justin mentioned we distributed a study at one of the last meetings. It was done by New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut trade associations of all three. And it explained how the illicit pot shops are selling products contaminated with E. coli, pesticides, heavy metals, salmonella. Nobody knows where the products are made, how they're grown, and they're not being tested. Many of the labels can have the incorrect amount of THC listed on the label. So somebody could go in and have way too much, or somebody could be being ripped off because they're getting way too little THC in the product. Oakland needs to be on the other side of the issue, promoting and educating about the benefits of the legal market. Legal cannabis is here to solve these problems that are happening in these illegal pot shops. There was not much consideration for all the work and time and money that was spent by the Cannabis Commission to do all this research. Justin and I had been to several meetings. We want to answer your questions. We want to work with the town. We want to educate and answer. We understand we were an applicant, or we currently an applicant, and you can't take our word. Ron Mandello was also here and hired by the borough. No follow-up questions were asked. He was declined to give a presentation. He was declined to attend an additional meeting, and I don't believe his recommendations were taken into consideration. Again, I'm here as a citizen of Oakland in support of the cannabis ordinance, cannabis in New Jersey, regardless of whether Councilman is approved in Oakland. And I hope you will take all of our comments into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Name Schwartz.
You
for sure,
forgot
186.
something.
Huh?
You forgot
You
something?
remember the last joint you smoked? You're gonna tell us.
I was
That's one of the
29.
effects, right? Memory
I was
loss?
29. I was wondering how many job opportunities this will bring to the
Well,
town.
this isn't.
This is not, no, you can't ask questions, you could ask them afterwards.
Oh, okay.
10%, the ordinance states 10% of the workforce must be Oakland residents.
Okay. And
I don't know what the workforce is, I don't know.
I smoked cigarettes for 40 years, and of course I wanted to stop. Chantrix, I quit within 2 weeks. Haven't had a cigarette since 2009. It's a wonderful drug.
God bless you.
They're using LSD now to help people that are dementia. Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, it's amazing. In the right hands, everything can be helpful. In the wrong hands, and he's right, at least they're going to produce something that's safe.
Anybody else?
One more.
Oh,
Okay, I'm sorry.
it's okay, you're up on the first day squad, so it's
I
okay.
appreciate that. All right, listen, I have a 1,200 square foot house. I pay almost $11,000 a year in property taxes. It's a lot of money for a really small house. All right, if we could do anything, all right, to lower the tax burden just a touch, let's do it. I mean, really. My taxes don't go down. The only two things that are guaranteed in my life is my death and my taxes never going down. So let's at least try to make them net zero. I mean, the town has all sorts of issues: water, bridge, this sewer, that sewer. This street has potholes. The center of town looks like Beirut. Let's worry about those things instead of worrying about marijuana in the corner of the town. That's not going to affect literally anybody. Nobody. No, that's it. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else, second time around? If not, motion to close.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor? Was there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
No?
no, we need more.
There's no more people to speak. Oh, well, I think we have a majority. Anybody want to close?
I can tell you how to
So
grow.
moved.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
Yes. Should we close?
Close.
Close.
Closed. Okay, approval of minutes, February 8th, 2023. Now, if you go to page 31 on the minutes. Well, first we have to do a motion to, right?
I do a motion to approve the minutes.
Right.
31. Motion to approve?
Second? Well, not
No, wait.
yet. Not
Wait.
yet. No, I have a question. Or any questions?
I have
a
an
question.
addition.
Page 31, under right after all in favor, and William Sisti spoke. Then it says Ann Cedar of 33 Cedar Street. I could have sworn she said she lives on
Winding Ridge.
Winding Ridge.
I think
So,
you're correct, Mary.
I guess you heard Cedar, so you know. Any other changes to the
Yes,
minutes?
I have a correction.
You will.
Page 30,
Oh, right there.
The sentence starts, Councilman McCann asked Mayor Schwager and Councilman Pignatelli if they know what a marijuana plant is. He also asked me, do I know what indigo is? And I said, yes, it's a color. I think the correct question to me should have been, do I know what indica is? Not indigo. I just like that correction.
And could you make that?
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, motion to approve.
Motion to approve with the corrections I've just mentioned?
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Abstain.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Okay, we have executive session February 8th, and if there's going to be any questions, it must be done during exec. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Are going to be any questions? Not roll call.
Councilmembers Kamala?
Yes.
McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes. Mayor, hold on one second.
Yes.
So with Councilman McCann abstaining, do we have enough to carry the first approval?
Yes.
We do? Okay.
We have raffle license, and this is from the Elks, BPOE number 2167 Oakland Lodge, raffle license RL 1449. It is for December, listen to me. March 30, 2023, 50/50, to support Oakland Elks and charities. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have, Mike, for public events, we have somebody who wants to go back on public events. And it's Mike Kozak, who's been a member for many, many years. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mike Kozak. All right, now we have resolutions. Before we do that, we have the Truman Field refurbishment project. This is, oh, well, we have to open to the public for a hearing.
Yes.
Is there a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wish to speak on the Truman Field refurbishment project? If not, motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
We're good.
Aye.
All right, that's the public hearing. So now we have consent agenda, the resolutions. If you want any pulled out, you'll let me know. 2390, authorize the grant agreement for the fiscal year 2022 Open Space Trust Fund Municipal Park Improvement Program for Bush Plaza Park Revitalization Project. Then we have 2391, which is authorized grant to repurpose submittal for fiscal year 2021 Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund Municipal Park Improvement Fund. That's for the Truman Field refurbishment. 2392 is to authorize refund of taxes to Maysara Abdo, 99 Minnehaha Boulevard, Block 4701, Lot 65, $21,468.68, and the CFO has verified the amount is due and funds are available. 2393, award contract to Boswell Engineering for the River Road Water Main Improvements Project. I'd like that pulled out. 2394, authorize refund of taxes for Patricia Vasallo due to overpayment at 46 Riverside Drive property, $1,961.75, and the CFO has certified funds are available. 2023 is Resolution 2395, which is the 2023 self-examination of the budget, and which is permitted by the Local Government Service Division of Local Government Services. 2022 is the LoSAP list. That is 2396 resolution authorizing approval of the 2022 LoSAP list. And if you'd like, I can read all the names.
Yes.
No? Want me to read all,
Please
100?
don't do that.
2397 is award vehicle auction bids. And we have surplus of vehicles. We have a 2001 Ford F-250. The winning bidder, Dawn Siskowski, for $1,851. 2004 Ford F-250. Albert Lovenberg bought it for $2,600. And Borough Computers, Esther Odoro, for $375. 2398 is award contract to Matthew Gilson, Awena Law Group, for professional borough attorney services for 2023. 2399, award contract to Brian Giblin of Giblin and Janeo for professional affordable housing litigation attorney services for 2023. 2300, award contract to Boswell Engineering for engineering services for Potash Lake soil remediation project. I'd like that pulled out. 23101, revised change order number 1 for Oakwood Knolls, Chapel Hill, Skyview Hillbrook treatment plants decommissioning project. It will be directional drilling with rock cutting head for $97,811.29. 23102, award contract to Integra Realty Resources for the 2023 tax appeal assistance services, and it's not to exceed $20,000, and CFO has certified funds are available. 23103 is award contract to Associated Appraisal Group for the 2023 annual reassessment program services, and it's from a request for proposals dated January 31st, 2022 for a cost of $55,000. Our CFO has certified that funds are available. 23104 is award contract to Civil Solutions for the 2023 tax map maintenance services, not to exceed $5,000. Our CFO has certified that funds are available. Now, you can hand me something? Have another one?
No, you're good.
96.
Only because I have to abstain.
Oh, don't you
Yeah.
want me to read the names? Okay, that's pulled out. Anybody else?
Yeah, both Councilman Pignatelli and I can't vote on that.
Okay.
That's gonna have to continue.
So, in case, all right, so other than 2396, 2393, and 23100, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Kamala?
Yes.
McCann?
Abstain.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
All right, let's go to 2396, the approval of the LoSAP list. And these are volunteer members who have qualified for credit for the previous year. And if you like, I could read everything, but it's from it's people who volunteer on the Oakland Fire Department and the Oakland First Aid Squad. So is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Kamala?
Abstain.
McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Abstain.
Saliani?
Yes.
Do we have none?
Yeah, because the abstentions go with the
Right,
prevailing.
right, okay. I didn't know if always sometimes
Yeah,
there's,
unless it's a budget. where you
right,
need
so
4
that's what I'm
votes.
saying, right. Well, doesn't affect us?
No, it's only the specific vote on the budget you need 4 votes.
Got it. Okay, now, the reason why I pulled out 2393 and 23100, because it has to do with Boswell Engineering. And it has nothing to, it's not, I didn't pull it out because of Boswell Engineering. I pulled it out so I could make a statement, because you're the ones who get the contractors to do the work, and you're the ones who oversee what's going on. And just like one of our residents talked about the center of town looking like Beirut, I had 2 people already complain today additionally, flat tires, damage to their cars. I can no longer drive my vehicle on Lakeside Boulevard. I've had it. We have more potholes. They don't clean up after, we have to have the work done. We understand the pipe is going underground for the sewer connection. We understand that. And sometimes, bad things happen for a good reason. The bad thing is that we have to break up the road, put the pipes in, and it has to be laid out. The bad thing, though, the worst part is the contractor leaves the road in a mess at the end of the day. And that is unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. We've talked about this. I call you up, I call the engineering firm up, I call poor Mr. Kuntz, I call him every day and say, what are we doing? That he probably calls John Yakimic, who probably has to call the contractor. I mean, but it's unacceptable. I mean, could we hold back money? Maybe they'll do a better job, but we cannot allow them to leave the roads in such disrepair after they finish their day's work. And I use the example, when you hire a plumber, comes to your house, you want him to clean up the mess after he does the work. It's great that he does all this work, but afterwards you want him to clean up and take his garbage with him. They're not taking their garbage with them. They're leaving pebbles, they're leaving pipes sticking up, they're leaving rocks, they're leaving potholes, and it's just not acceptable. So I'm pulling this out so I can make a statement to you, John Yakimic, as a representative of Boswell.
I hear you, Mayor.
Because all of a sudden I see River Road Water Main Improvement Project. So all those people involved on River Road, there's going to be 3 additional tasks: data collection and survey, design, and Highlands exemption, for a total cost not to exceed $28,000. So we're gonna spend $28,000 for something we need to do, and then how much is it going to cost us after they finish and they don't clean up their work? So it's that was rhetorical, it's not meant to have an answer. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2393.
So moved.
There a second?
No. Second.
Is there discussion other than my ranting on this?
No, Mayor, I think your points are valid on discussion. We're also, I was working with Boswell this morning, so we can incorporate some of the things we're trying to do and to drive vendors and drive better communications of how we communicate. So I think your points are very valid.
Well, it's not just my point, it's just that everybody is complaining and they have the right to complain. So now who do we complain to other than our engineer, who has to complain to the contractor? And poor Mr. Kuntz, who I complain to every morning as he's driving in.
Not quite every morning.
Oh, I'm skipping.
Every other morning.
Most mornings.
Okay.
And yes, I can tell you it's been very frustrating for both John and I, because there has been a lot of communication to the contractor, a lot of follow-up with the site inspector, to try to get them to improve the work conditions out there, both on a daily basis and to better maintain the trench, as, you know, they have to maintain the pavement on that. It is something that we will continue to work on with them. It is something that we're going to consider some further follow-up action that may finally get their attention.
So just today, someone contacted on Facebook, where do I go when I have a flat tire and damage to my car because of?
So then contact my office.
That's exactly what I told them to do.
Mayor,
And I gave them the phone number of Borough Hall.
Mayor, I have a question for Mr. Yakimic.
On this, okay.
On this repairing of the road. At the last meeting, I asked, does your inspector stay there till the end of the day? And you said you thought he did. If there's an inspector from Boswell there that we're paying, he should stay until the end of the workday and make sure that the contractor cleans up and doesn't leave any debris in the road that damages a car. I just don't understand how we're getting these complaints when we have an inspector there that we're paying for to be there. It's not to leave just because the guy says it's the end of the workday. That inspector should be staying until the trucks pull out of there and they can see that there's no debris there.
Agreed. Mayor, may I speak?
Please.
Agreed. And we have a new crew that is inspecting that I'm confident, and Kevin is confident is doing a better job. I tried to, I indicated to everyone that I was going to visit the contractor personally last Friday afternoon and basically read him the riot act. Unfortunately, he left early because he hit a water main that day and it was more frantic to replace the water main. I've been on vacation this week, not that that matters anything, but I fully intend to convey the best way I know to compel a contractor to do work is to basically withhold payment as necessary, and to make myself extremely clear face-to-face to the contractor. Unfortunately, I missed him last Friday, and I was going to do that. I will do that this coming Monday.
Thank
But
you.
my question or statement is
Yes.
going to say about,
They stay until,
well, if we're paying Boswell and Boswell's paying this inspector to stay, and they're not staying, maybe we should stop paying the
Well,
inspection fee.
I think that's what John just said.
No, I don't
Didn't
mean
you
the
just say that?
contractor, I mean the Boswell.
no, the Councilman, they're staying till the end. I wasn't, when you asked me the question, I wasn't 100% sure. I've since interrogated them, and they have assured me that they stay to the end.
But the mayor said there is debris left on the
There's,
road.
you see,
Yeah.
you know, why can't they sweep the rocks to the side, pick up the boulders? There was a pipe sticking out of the ground at one point, and the people are getting down. So now they're coming to us with the damage.
Mhm.
I gave them Borough Hall's phone number. I said, call Borough Hall, speak to Kathy about the forms. It's also unsightly. It's awful. It's awful.
it's a
I
bad image.
understand
It's
when
a
there's
bad
a
image
water
for the
main
town.
break and it
So-
has to be fixed, but it has to be cleaned up after they do the work.
So Mayor and members of the council, I will give this assurance. I will personally, myself, go out there going forward until we don't hear the same.
Thank
That's all
you.
there
Thank
is
you.
to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Mayor, just a quick comment.
Yes.
It's been 2 meetings now, since I asked Mr. Ukinic for an update on when the work is gonna be done for public service and the sewer work. And you said you're working on putting together some type of report on when we and the residents can expect this work to be done. Do you have any progress on that?
No, I do not. We're trying to work to getting the roads. I have reports from the DPW I just got this week. I will codify them, and I will forward that to you by next week. I just happened to I had to take some vacation days this week, and I apologize.
But that includes when the public service work will be completed and where they're going
Yes.
next, including when the water main will be completed. So anything that's going into the road, we'll know
The water main at,
the entire project.
over at,
For the water mains and the sewer project, everything.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so back to Resolution 2393 of engineering for Boswell for the River Road Water Main Improvements. We have a motion, we have a second, roll call.
Councilmembers Kamala?
Yes.
McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes,
Saliani?
Yes.
Now we have Resolution 23-100. I also brought that out because now we have Potash Lake Soil Remediation Project. That's 23-100 for tasks. We're talking about 13,000 document to NJDEP. Is there a motion to approve?
I have a question. All right.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, Punch, that's why I pulled it out.
can I do it now?
No, go ahead.
This soil testing, I don't know if Rich should answer this or John should answer it. What brought this about? Was there a report of something dumped down there, or?
Right, so this is actually the second phase of work that was started a couple of years ago based on a report of transformers.
Yes,
being
I
on the
remember
property,
that, yeah.
Right.
And we couldn't find out who transformer belonged to.
We have not. It may actually have been dating back to the Ramfo River project.
Okay.
It said it was left behind by the U.S. Army Corps of
There
Engineers.
there you go. So there wasn't a lot of contamination found, but there was some, and there is a rather rigorous DEP process to follow to have it cleaned up, certify that it's clean, make sure.
This
that
was for PCBs?
No, it was for,
'Cause I thought that's what came out of transformer.
EPHs, extractable petroleum hydrocarbons.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Now, is there a
Your
rain
Honor?
barrel program?
Mayor?
Yeah.
I have a motion. As you know, I had to leave early.
Yeah, you're leaving, 8 o'clock.
Right, there's a lot of people here, some comments were made. I asked that we suspend the regular order so that I can give my committee report from public safety.
Absolutely.
Can I have a motion?
absolutely,
Can I have a
yeah.
motion to suspend?
I'll just,
Just go, okay.
Okay.
go ahead. I don't think everybody's going to object.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for coming out and for your comments. Whether or not I disagree on a personal level, I've never injected my personal feelings into this issue at all. But as it relates to the prior meeting, I've been involved, I've been on council for 9 years, this is my 10th year. I want to apologize to the mayor and to Councilman Piglitelli, because when I watched the video, I'm not apologizing for the content, but I will apologize for my tone. Councilman Piglitelli called me up and said he felt bullied, and I don't agree with that, but I apologize regardless. What I agree, he felt that way, and I think it's important to acknowledge his viewpoint, as it is for me to acknowledge the viewpoints of those comments tonight. So Mayor, I apologize to you.
Thank you.
And I apologize to Councilman Piglitelli. It's, you know, I taught at Pace University for a number of years. Sometimes when we were grading students, we would take their best grade and throw it out, we'd take their worst grade and throw it out and work from there. So it was definitely not my best moment in public life in terms of the way I spoke and the tone I spoke. So I apologize for that. But however, as it relates to the content of the committee, it is relatively basic to public policy. And I went to a pretty good graduate school, UPenn, got a master's in it, and served in the United States Senate, worked on healthcare legislation with Senator Al Specter, worked on low birth weight babies. That was one of the areas that I had in my responsibility. So public health has always been something I've been involved with professionally. I successfully, as a malpractice attorney, sued one of the area's major hospitals who held themselves out as a pediatric hospital. And it was discovered in my case that they did not have pediatric standards for anesthesia, despite Don Imus's multiple protestations and commercials and talking about what a great hospital it was. There were no pediatric standards, regardless of what was stated. So in my time in academics, I came across a bunch of things where basically there's this concept called motivative reasoning. And it's a cognitive issue for many people. And you hear it in the types of logical or illogical arguments of, well, we had this, it's done here, it was done this way, you know, we do it for tobacco, what are you gonna do, throw out all this other stuff? That's just, in my view, dining room table logic. But I did not disparage any single member on that committee. I never referred to anyone by name, and I went back and I looked at the tape, and I challenged you to come up with where I disparaged the committee. You may not have liked my tone. You may not have liked what I had to say as it related to the facts.
You're talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the room.
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at everybody. Look at the camera. Okay, it's right here. Okay, I challenge you to find anything in that record where I said anything disparaging about the committee. What I did say was that the committee, despite its work, was missing some stuff. And it's basic. When you're doing public policy, you have your economics, which is what the committee did. You have your public health, which was what the committee did not do. And you have law enforcement. Those are your three basic pillars of public policy making decision. What's not in that committee, or who was on that committee, I didn't see any input from the police department. No one from the police department, public safety was considered as part of that committee, outside of parking. In terms of consideration for the public health, what's also not undeniable in that committee was anyone from the addiction industry. Mayor, were there any minutes of that? Did that ad hoc committee maintain minutes of the meeting?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
was on Zoom.
I'd like to take a look at them.
And we did
So, no,
speak, and we did speak with police officers, he's just,
No, no.
he's not a regular member of the committee. And we did speak to addiction people, and we did go visit marijuana facilities.
So, can you, okay, so, what, I don't see that anywhere in the record. And if it's in the record, that they were on the committee.
But you
which-
said we didn't do our due diligence,
No, no.
that's what you said.
No.
You said the committee did not do
It's
its due
missing,
diligence.
it's missing, you had no one from law enforcement on the committee.
I just
Okay.
told you what happened.
No, you just told me, did
We
you talk to
had-
the chief of police?
Yes,
Was
I
the
always
chief-
talk to the chief of police.
Did the chief of police have any input into that committee?
He gave us his, yes, we talked about.
He
the
did?
sec-
Because I spoke to him and he said
security.
he did not have any input,
Okay, well,
okay? So,
so I guess he took
so
that on both
again,
sides of his
I'm
mouth,
not
and I
gonna
will talk
debate
to the
you,
chief
I'm not gonna
again.
debate you. What I
Don't
wanna,
debate us.
I just wanna say that public health, okay, because I challenge you to find any credible source that supports this as a public health initiative. Columbia University,
But we never said it was a public health
that's
initiative.
well, that's my point, Mayor. One of the three things when you consider legislation in public policy is public health, and it was absent from that committee.
Well, we didn't-
As was law enforcement.
Just like when we talked about breweries, no one brought up public health.
I'm not
Just like
talking.
when we talk about giving a
Mayor,
license
Mayor,
to
you're
liquor
arguing
licenses.
with me on a fact that's true. It wasn't considered, you said it, okay? It's not like anything else, I'm talking about this. And that's what I'm talking about, motivated reasoning. It's a perfect example of it.
Motivating,
Motivated reasoning, okay?
What is
Now,
motivated?
I just wanna finish, please.
I know you have to leave,
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
I know. As it relates to, you know, because you did it for cigarettes, I'll quote from a recent California doctor, because I think it is relevant, you know, the other things that go on, the other vices. And like other members, the people that showed up here tonight, I also don't smoke and I don't drink, okay? But that's got nothing to do with my view. I'm looking at the evidence. I'm a very simple guy, I just look at the evidence. And there's no independent research from a credible, non-biased, industry-related organization that supports a lot of the things that it says it relates to public health, because that's what I mean by motivated reasoning. And let me just read what Dr. Ronette Lev said, an emergency room doctor at Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego. We've been seeing problems for a while: depressive breakdowns, psychotic, suicidal thoughts, all related to cannabis. The patients are regular people, not down and outs. Quote, I want people to know the truth about this drug. We've been sold a lie. That cannabis is harmless and has been and has a mutual of health benefits. It's not me saying this, okay? It is exactly to the point that was made here tonight. It's exactly the same as what happened with tobacco. The industry told the public it was good for their health at first, before it was proven to be deadly. In California, hospital admissions for cannabis-related complications, for those who said it doesn't help, there's a public health use that was published by Alberta College of Family Physicians. Again, I don't make any judgments on this, it's just, these are the facts, as it relates to non-industry related research.
All right.
Excuse me.
Let him, he's leaving, let
Excuse
him
me.
finish speaking, that's the lead.
Bottom line,
We can respond.
this isn't a debate, you had your chance.
But you made it a debate last week.
Bottom line,
All right, stop.
I know you don't like it.
Let's have some.
I don't like you.
Just a minute.
Bottom line,
He's giving his committee report.
bottom line, compared to
What committee?
bottom line, placebo medical cannabis causes multiple different adverse events in patients, from visual disturbance or here's a word I can't even pronounce, so I already killed indica before, so I'm not gonna do that, to hallucinations or paranoia. This is from a non-biased source, straight up, Alberta College of Family Physicians. The NIH Right. Adolescent's brain cognitive development study.
That's the one that says COVID came from bats still, right? I'm just.
No. Listen, you and I, on that issue will probably agree, okay? But the NIH, this study.
So you're cherry picking.
No, I'm not cherry
That
picking.
sounds like
I'm
you are.
quoting the NIH.
All right, stop, this is not a debate.
I'm not cherry
At
picking.
this point, just finish
I'm not
your-
cherry picking.
Finish your committee.
I'm finishing my report.
This isn't a committee report.
It is a report. It's public safety.
It's
It's
Public safety. Tell us what the
It's
bug
out of
is.
order. I've listened to that.
Everybody, let him finish his committee report. He's leaving, he has to leave. Let him finish his committee report.
So, if you didn't have the police on the committee, and you didn't consider the public health aspects of it, as I'm told, okay? You know, that's a pretty
You are
substantial.
correct. He wasn't on, to make a
No,
statement, he wasn't on the committee, but I called him regularly. We spoke to him regularly because we talked about security.
You'll have to,
That was a
that's not the
big issue.
report I got directly from
You
him.
probably asked him if he was on the committee. He was not on the committee.
Oh, you told me.
He was contacted.
Mayor, you're interrupting my report. Okay? So, the other thing I want to talk about is this. After the
This is public safety?
it is public safety, it's my public safety.
Okay.
After the last meeting, while I was out of town at my uncle's funeral, as it relates to, people have strong opinions about this. It's right, it's self-evident right here, regardless of evidence, okay? But I have here, on the day I was attending a wake for my uncle, I had a series of phone calls from burner phones and did receive one death threat. I received several text messages essentially suggesting that raping me was done. And I don't want to tarnish people's views with crazy people who do these things. But it was done.
How'd you get your phone number?
Well, my number's published all over the
Your
country.
cell phone?
You know, it's a
Oh,
very.
this is from all over the country?
My number is available, it's public information. So, you know, I don't think anyone here would countenance that behavior. You may not like what I'm saying. You may not like the evidence that I am producing. But I'm more than happy, as I indicated in my conversation with Mr. Lee, I found our conversation be fruitful. I found him to be open-minded and concerned for public health, because he made that clear to me. And we also share some other stuff in our backgrounds together. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm simply here to make the best decision I can. As it relates to government tyranny, listen, I'm a simple guy. If you're doing all this stuff and it came out wrong, as pointed out by the other doctor from California, 2 wrongs don't make a right. As it relates to the women's health, quite obviously, that's not accurate. Because I can only quote from the studies from Columbia University. As it relates to here's a study that just came out, appears not to encourage, not replace, non-medical opioid use, okay? This is a study from Columbia University. By the way, interesting comment just about Google. Google does get you to university websites, does it not? Okay. That's a wonderful research tool to get to the actual studies.
Can I Google how to recall?
Stop.
So again, you may not like
So
the
I-
facts about the public health implications for the money that you want. I will simply say that all I want people to do on this count.
Hear from you.
What
This is what we should have heard before.
Well, Mayor, I don't understand that comment. I wasn't on the committee. And I
No, but
wasn't-
you're a resident.
Right, and did we not cover that with the fact that you realized that I was not, I was convalescing from COVID, long COVID? Remember
Is that when you had the COVID?
Yeah. So anyway, gentlemen, I have to run, I'm extremely late. But again, my apologies. I do not mean to disparage the work of the committee. I'm not disparaging the effort, but I am saying it's missing some serious components when you're making a decision for the borough of Oakland. It's very basic: economics, public health, and safety. We did not include the police, and the public health is being disagreed with. And I'm, as I said to Mr. Lee, I'm more than happy to take any research that anyone wants to send me that's not tainted or biased from industry, with industry money. It's a $60 billion industry, and
2%.
Yeah?
Just real
Yeah,
quick.
No.
I've got to leave, but.
There's another open.
We have
There'll be another opening.
Excuse me. As soon as we're
But I'm
almost
more than
finished,
happy to
then
take a
we'll
look
open
at
to the public
any
again.
non-biased research that you have, and have a good night. Thank you.
We'll miss you.
All right, at this point, we'll continue with the work session. Sustainable Oakland.
Yeah.
Sustainable Oakland Green Team. Sustainable
Did you make a
Oakland
comment when you
Green
mean-
Team.
Did you
Green-
talk like that?
Did you just make a comment?
I didn't make any comment.
Stop it, stop.
Mayor, let's take a 2-second recess.
I need more than 2 seconds.
Says one councilman can't control himself.
Stop.
I didn't say anything.
Let us finish. We have the
There's comments coming my way.
Sustainable Oakland Green Team Rain Barrel Program. Mr. Collins, could you please explain?
Sure. Rather straightforward. As I think everybody knows, we have a recycling barrel program where residents can obtain recycling barrels at borough cost. And a composter program that uses the same approach. Residents that want a composter, if they're into composting, can buy it at borough cost. We buy them and sell them to the public. The Green Team wants to start a rain barrel program as well, promote rain barrel use. I think they've had some interest from residents in doing that. I think we can probably procure them at a favorable price, and the program would work the same way. We would essentially sell it to any members of the public that wanted it at our cost, which is $75. In order to proceed, there would just need to be a fee ordinance amendment to implement the fee so we can start selling it. That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, can I just tag on to that, being liaison to the Green Team?
Yes.
They've been working on this project for several months, and actually they explored this about a year ago. And like I said, this is really just a Kickstarter program to really cover their costs and really get the discounted price by the ability of the borough to buy it at discounted price instead of them going out to Home Depot and save some money. So,
Thank you. All right, the next item is the shared service agreement, street sweeping services with the Borough of Bloomingdale.
I'm actually going to start with this, Mayor, because this is part of our DPW committee meeting.
Oh, good, thank you. Oh, so why don't we just give you, you want to give your committee report too?
Oh, well, let's go over the work session first, then we'll get
Okay.
to the report. So, currently, we have we are using a vendor for street sweeping, who's not very reliable, not performing very well. And, their equipment, they only have one piece of equipment, it's broken down. So, DPW, we already have one shared service with Bloomingdale. Bloomingdale's getting a new street sweeper, and we do a shared service with them. It'd be a 5-year contract where the raise of the services would be capped at 2% a year. Both areas have an opt-out if things aren't going well with 60 days or 90 days notice. And then it'll control our costs over the next 5 years. It's a little bit more upfront, but we get better service. And the DPW actually went and followed the Bloomingdale team for a day, how they do the work. And we believe is a better fit for the organization than using a third party who's unreliable, whose equipment's always breaking down and putting us behind schedule.
I'm looking at the streets. Lakeside Boulevard, it'll ruin the equipment immediately.
Well, we didn't start yet. Obviously, we would move, obviously DPW would work around based on construction, they'd make those, so, but I would recommend.
It's actually more of a turnkey operation than we have now with our outside vendor, because we're responsible for disposing of the material that's collected, so that does take some borough staff time and fuel and wear and tear on our vehicles. In this case, Bloomingdale is responsible for all of that, and we would work with them and set the schedule that they would follow.
thank you.
All right, so before we go on to committee reports, flyer, it says blood drive. I don't know if they could see on TV. It is the Oakland Mayor's Wellness Campaign, Tuesday, February 28th, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Oakland Senior Center. Now, if you go and donate, they are taking walk-ins. If you do want to go and donate blood, you have to weigh at least 110 pounds. Well, that's not a problem for me. Bring ID, eat a meal before donation, and drink plenty of water before and after donation. And you will receive a $10 Amazon gift card. Redeemable via email. So here's the Amazon logo. If you donate to blood, remember you get a $10 Amazon card. All right, Councilman,
Go from that side this time.
well, we're gonna take a break. I'm
Are we?
starting with you.
What's that?
Go ahead, Council. He has to get his notes together.
Okay, so for the green team, man, that was a cheap shot. So for the green
Get
team,
his notes together.
join the Sustainable Green Team, 11 a.m. Sunday, March 5th for our first hiking series in the it's going to be up on top of Skyline for the Ramapo Skyline Loop. They'll be meeting down at the lower parking lot, and once again, that's at 11 o'clock in the morning, March 5th. The Sustainable Green Team is also hosting the Environmental Commission and Shade Tree Commission on February 28th for a joint meeting to discuss coordinating future projects. The Green Team is also hosting 2 bird watching events, one on April 29th and one on May 13th at Great Oak Park. Sign-ups are now open. Check the town website for more information. And also, as spring is here, just a reminder that the Oakland Library hosts a seed bank with a large selection of organic vegetables. And it's time to start planning and asking the library, and ask the front desk for information if you want to get the seeds. It's a pretty good program. It's been going on for about, 5 years, 6 years? So if you've got a garden, the seeds are there, they're free, take advantage of it. And the next styrofoam drive will be April 22nd. Matt, so in case you want to drop off your styrofoams.
I put mine in the garbage, thank you.
Councilman.
I have more. The Arts Committee is meeting on Monday, February 27th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center. And also a reminder, the last Thursday open mic night is scheduled for Thursday, 2/23. This has been postponed. So what it is you have a chance to either perform down at the Brave Center. It's going to be rotating around town, whether you're doing poetry, whether you're doing music. So stay tuned for that. And for more information, go to the artsinoakland.com website. We're also accepting applications to participate in the 3rd Annual Arts in Oakland event scheduled for June 9th through 11th. They're looking for performers and visual artists of all kinds and talents. And that's all I have for that. For the Planning Board. So we have Planning Board, it's been a pretty busy couple weeks, to quote, some member of the public here, it looks like downtown Beirut, and we're really trying to get in front of this. We had a very positive meeting February 15th. We took a walk with members of the Planning Board, our planners. We did a walk from Franklin Ave down to West Oakland Ave by 287, all the way down to 202 by the Burger King, okay, the old Burger King. And it really gave our planners an opportunity to look at and start categorizing. We also had a historian there to categorize some of the historical properties and look at the architecture of what the downtown used to be, not what it looks like now. And what this is going to be doing is the Planning Board is going to be reviewing several ordinances that are going to be brought to the governing body, which includes creating an architectural review board, historical commission, so that and the intent here is really get in front of the possibility of sewers coming in town. If we don't get this framework in place now, and sewers come in town, we'll lose the ability to shape our downtown for what Oakland used to look like back in the day. So stay tuned for the next couple of months. I'll be reporting regularly, and this council governing body will have an opportunity to review these ordinances so we can get these commissions going forward. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
You happy to flow volleys?
You just did it at the beginning of the meeting.
By the way, I am meeting with the Chamber of Commerce next week. We now have an Oakland Chamber of Commerce. I'm sponsoring a breakfast next Monday to get the businesses involved. Just working with the council is not enough. And so I've been working with the businesses in town so they can help us with strengthening and structuring the downtown. So I look forward to working with all the businesses and getting this Oakland Chamber of Commerce back together. We have quite a few businesses that are willing to help and be a part of it. And Councilman Pignatelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want this to be interpreted as being boastful or full of pride. but when Mr. McCann said that we didn't have anyone from public health, I just want the public to know. I held a license as a registered environmental health specialist from the state of New Jersey of Health, State Department of Health. My bachelor's degree is in health. I held a license as a New Jersey health officer. I was involved in public health for 36 years. Whenever we spoke about marijuana before the law was passed, I always said it impairs the cognitive ability of young adults. I went through numerous things that I understood to be the ill effects of marijuana. So I think that's one of the reasons why the mayor picked me. And after Mr. DePentema, said he was against it, I think that's why we were on it. The mayor did want to have both sides, I have to say. And I think Member Guadagnino will think back. He probably thought I would never accept anything about marijuana, but
Matt's also shaking his head.
but I think we all tried to keep an open mind about it. Like I said to Mr. Guadagnino, I did not think that the ad hoc committee was there to pass judgment on the law for the state of New Jersey. That was not my reason for being on it. I wanted to try and lessen the impact that it had on our borough. And as Mr. DePentema and I spoke many times, this is going to affect the borough for many, 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 many years. I personally did not take this law lightly. I knew that this was a substantial law for New Jersey, and it was going to affect Oakland. One of my, I guess if you want to use the old cliche, make lemonade out of lemons, as Mr. DePentema said, there was a financial benefit for the town. Your credit rating is based on how much you're in debt, or part of it is how much you're in debt. Well, we worked with this money to lower our debt, to improve our credit rating, which would improve the interest we would pay on our bonds. So there was something to benefit the town. I'm still against smoking marijuana, and I do not want a retail store in town. But I felt we addressed several areas and we compromised. And I think we did try to keep an open mind. So I don't want you to think I'm boasting about my credentials, but I did know about public health, and I do know about the deleterious effects, physical effects of smoking marijuana. But anyway, sorry, I hope you didn't interpret it the way I said.
No, no, we appreciate it.
But
we
I
appreciated your input and your expertise on the committee.
Thank you, Mayor. From the police department. For the month of January, officers conducted 284 motor vehicle stops and issued 382 motor vehicle summonses. Also, the police department received a number of speeding complaints on residential streets. Officers will be conducting traffic enforcement details in these areas. Residents are reminded to always obey the posted speed limits, especially in school zones. We also had a Board of Health meeting last night. We had an open discussion on several items contained in the reports from our registered environmental health specialist and also from our attorney. So we didn't pass any rule or regulation, but we did review all the reports, especially that the preschools all have a 100% rating for vaccinations, right? Thank you, Mrs. Ashkenazi. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
That's it? Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
You got all your papers together?
Close enough.
Okay.
I do want to say, I wasn't on the marijuana committee or on the council when we voted on it, so I just figured I'd throw it in there and talk about marijuana tonight.
How do you admit?
No comment. So, I gave my DPW report with where we are. Real quick, the Bush Plaza Committee, they met on the 25th, and we have now scheduled a formal meeting with myself, the mayor, borough engineer, and Rich to go over where we are with Bush Plaza. We received the $127,995, And we'll be engaging the groups to work with how we move that money, fundraise that money going forward. That meeting will be March 6th, and we'll come back with the
And
next
that will
steps.
be, and we will get some businesses involved.
Yes, we will get some business involved. I did some personal stuff today at Columbia Bank, and I was already lobbying for everybody.
Oh, yes, and visions.
Yes. From the Recreation Department, I will, again, to comment on Councilman Kamala's, we're doing a joint meeting with the Environmental Commission, the Shade Tree, and the Green Team. So we basically share a lot of the same information, the same credentials. So we're trying to see if we can have a couple meetings together and see if we can benefit by working together instead of separate groups and get more done. From a Rec Commission, very simple part, Recreation is hosting a spring break camp for grades K through 8. Summer sports clinics for IHS coaches, including baseball, softball, football, basketball, and girls volleyball, are now holding signups. All information is at oaklandrec.org. The summer camp program will be in registration on March 1st, and we'll have a hard close on March 31st. Anyone who registers during the sign-up period will be allowed to participate. Open camp will not allow any late sign-ups. The next Rutgers safety course to be a coach for Oakland Recreation is March 10th. It's mandatory for all new coaches, and there is no charge. Please pre-register at oaklandrec.org. And also a little bit off of Oakland Rec, Indian Hills basketball team is in the quarterfinals tomorrow night of the States for basketball. In all my years in rec, and some of them are my son's friends, we should go support them, so
I'll tell you that Indian Hills is really producing those good students, both academically and athletically.
Game tomorrow night, Indian Hills, and wear black, it's a blackout to support the team.
A blackout.
They want everyone in the audience to wear black shirts.
Why?
It's just a fan thing.
Oh, I'm right.
That's my report, Mayor.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
Mayor, did we do old business? A new business?
Oh, no, we didn't.
We did not, Mayor.
I got all confused with the DPW, sorry, all business.
Yeah, Mr. Coons, can we just get an update on where we are with the testing of the water and procuring equipment and where we stand in the process?
You're referring to PFAS?
Yes.
And where we're at with that? As you know from the last meeting when Mr. Boswell was here, the land use permit applications have been filed. They're being reviewed currently by the DEP. We are undertaking a bid process to buy the required equipment. That's out to bid. We take bids next Friday, and we should have a bid award recommendation at the next council meeting.
That's the March 8th meeting.
That's the March 8th meeting, yes.
Thank you.
And then, is there an update on Patriots Way Bridge?
On the Patriots Way Bridge.
All business.
The Patriots Way Bridge, I have been in contact with the governor's office, with the congressman's office, with DOT, and we're waiting for an answer on money. It comes down to money. So we hopefully, between everybody pulling together and just going after the DOT, there's money there. And I really am trying to get it for us, because we need the money.
Well, Mayor, if I may add.
Yes.
That's just Mr. Yukimik about this. I understand that they're currently considering whether to limit it to 10 tons or 3 ton limitation.
That is correct. The people that inspected the bridge last June are taking a second look at the recommendations. They're performing some calculations. So it could go lower than 10 tons, it could go down to 3 tons. We expect to get those calculations and those results by the end of this week. And as soon as we get them, we'll report them to the governing body and to Rich.
I'm in regular contact with Kevin Boswell, who's in regular contact with DOT. So between DOT, the congressman, and the governor,
And I also met with Kevin today to discuss this, and then
Yes.
we'll form a communication together. We're working with the board at Rampart River Reserve from the community, so as we get information, we're working with them so we can share information together.
Absolutely. Any new business? We already did the committee report, so now we'll open to the public. Motion's open.
Second.
All in favor?
Hello, Mike Guadino, 34 Hopper Street. I just wanted to vouch for what was said, you said. the police were at these meetings.
Yep.
We did have the police at the meetings.
But they weren't a regular
They were not a
committee
regular
meeting.
person, they were not a regular committee member. A lot of people were not, we just couldn't have 75 people on the committee. But we did have a public health person, and the police, we did consult them, and I remember there's actually were two police officers.
Wasn't Brian
on the meetings.
Rowan involved?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, our traffic officer.
So we did communicate with the police. Thank you.
Yes, you're right, it was Brian Rowan.
Goodrich 72 Hiawatha, two things. So Councilman Kamala on the downtown revitalization. So, I mean, really, I'm hoping you guys are talking to the utility companies first, like Rockland. So the worst part of downtown is really from Yawpo to Terhune. Like, you have all these wires, it looks like India, right? So there's streets that run behind.
So we have Beirut and
Right.
India.
So there's streets or property per se that run behind those businesses. If you look at any downtown that you would consider nice, Glen Rock, Pompton Lakes, Ridgewood, there's no wires in the streets. Everything runs on the backside.
To answer your question, we, myself, Mr. Yukemik, we had one of the members of the utility company who walked through with us, I want to say, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, as part of this cohesive plan to figure out how we can really bring this all together. Because yes, that is.
Because that's the ugliest part of downtown. So it doesn't matter what you do. You could do sidewalks, you could paint the buildings. It's still going to look like crap with all those wires there.
I agree with you 1,000%, and it's something we're looking at.
And I am getting the businesses involved. We can't do without the businesses.
Gotcha. And then, on Councilman McCann's sad attempt of an apology, I really, really hope that the rest of the council, and I know there's other ones that are missing, that you guys jump off that train before it crashes. I mean, he has destroyed the Republican Party in Oakland, which is why you guys have no party anymore. So just space yourselves. Don't follow. Be leaders. That's all I say. Thank you.
Anybody else? I haven't seen you in a while.
Been hiding.
I know.
No, he's not.
Give your name and address, because people will forget who you were.
Working on my cars.
I've seen you in your truck. I've seen you in your truck.
But he hasn't been here.
Dave Richardson, 320 Rampo Valley. Just getting back to that construction. What's
Which
going
one?
on with the
Roads.
with the sewer thing? Are they eventually going to go all the way down Rampo Valley Road to?
That is the goal.
When is that going to take place? Because from Oak Street to Long Hill Road, the road is horrible. I've called this county 3 times. I'm on a first name basis with this guy down there. I said, I'm chewing up the tires on my car. Everybody in town is complaining about it. It's a mess.
202 was supposed to have been on the list to be repaved.
Yeah,
They thought we were getting sewers right
They-
away, so they held off.
they said that 2 years ago.
Yeah, so we're on the list now.
There's a hole this big right in an intersection.
Right, isn't it? I was told we're on the list.
Right, so my understanding from Tom Connolly is that
This year.
202 is being paved this year.
This year.
Well, the thing is, there's a big hole right in the
You're gonna get
crosswalk at East Oak Street. I mean, somebody's gonna trip and fall on this thing. And then, you know what?
Where is it? I'll call DPW, they'll patch it in the meantime.
Why doesn't the town take care of it and then bill the county?
Because it's a county road. County is coming in this year to repay it. But where is the hole you're talking about?
I called them 3 weeks ago.
Well, tell me where the hole is. I
The
can
hole
tell-
is right at the intersection of East Oak Street and Rampo Valley Road, right by the light. There's a
Got it?
crosswalk
I
right
got
there.
it, we'll follow up.
right?
Okay.
And then when you go
I
past
got it
that,
too.
you know where that dip in the road is, where the catch basin is there?
Yes.
Right? If you get caught going around that, you're gonna get a ticket. There's a cop sitting on the side there. He'll ticket you. And there's a great big hole next to that too. They just don't come around and fix them.
Well, yeah,
People are chewing their tires up, ruining the front ends of their cars, and they don't care.
it's going to be repaved.
I know it's gonna be repaid,
This
but
year
let
by
them
the
come up and at least
County
fix the
Road.
holes.
It's a county road, but we can fix the problem.
It's just, I drive the road every day.
I know, you live there.
I live right on it.
I know.
And I hear the trucks all day long hitting the holes at night, especially like the ShopRite trucks when they're heading up to 287. Boom, 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 boom. It's all night long.
Okay,
But that's
thank you
my
for
piece.
telling us.
Okay.
Good
Good
to
night.
see you.
Good night. Same here.
Danny,
Yeah. Dan Delia, 7 Fordham Road. It was nice that he gave an apology, but I think he should really apologize to the resident, the way he spoke to the resident 2 weeks ago. All right, so that's something for him to think about.
Frank DePentema, 6 Mountain Lakes. the councilman who shall not be named, I'll use the Harry Potter, I'll take the Harry Potter path here, is fond of saying, I challenge anyone to look. Well, I challenge every resident, and I challenge all of you, go back and watch that tape. Because the words he used was that the committee is supporting poison. If that's not derogatory, then I don't know what fantasy world he's living in. It's not even, it's beyond the realm of anything this universe is connected to. I agree with Matt. I think you guys need to start to wake up here. And I want the town of Oakland, hear me, wake up here, because you voted for that man. You put him up here. And we need to stop. It needs to stop. There's nothing in his statements that is nothing but personal. It's black and white. And that's not why you're here. You know, I sat where you guys sat. I know what it's like. It's not an easy job. But remember, I sat where you sat, and I know that I work for the people of Oakland, as you all do. And if we're going to make the argument that he did when he was yelling at Councilman Pignatelli, who said 62% of the people in Oakland voted for it, and he started arguing no because 50% of the people didn't vote, well, guess what? That goes for each and every one of you during an election, because those numbers are even lower. More people don't vote than vote. So really, maybe he's not an elected councilman. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, it really needs to stop. Matt was right, I'm sorry, Mike was right, the police were contacted. I don't remember if it was the first or second meeting.
I thought it was Brian Rowan.
Right, the first or second meeting, I raised a point. Have we talked to them? It was Mr. Coons who thankfully interjected that, yes, they are part of the consultation process, and they did have concerns over what was happening in Colorado, yet they acknowledged that they're seeing towns that were doing ordinances were addressing those concerns. And a lot of it had to do with retail, which again, as we've all talked about, we eliminated. Retail was not gonna happen here. So we took a big chunk of that out. There are a lot of protections for the community in here, including the air that Mike talked about, including our aquifer and all those things. And you know, the company that's trying to come in here understands the investment they have to make in doing all that stuff to protect the town. And that's the rules of our license. If you wanna do business here, that's how you're gonna do it. But we really gotta find a better working way. That resident does need an apology. Plain, simple, period. You know, we got big shoulders. We've been yelled at before. I'm sure Mike has been yelled at from every.
Mr. Richardson was here.
Yeah, you know, every angle you can when you're involved in sports. And, but you know what? It's not becoming. It's not becoming of this office. And you guys really need to start to decide if you're gonna separate or not. You know, and the public needs to start to decide, is this who we're gonna support, or are we gonna get new voices up here who are gonna do the right thing? Because that's really what it comes down to. So, thank you, Mary. That's all
Thank
I
you,
wanna
and
say.
thank you for being on the committee and taking notes.
You're welcome. I mean, you guys have what I have, but, you know, it was a good committee, I have to say. And I said to you after the committee, and all the things I've done in Oakland, and I've done a lot, from rec to you name it. That was one of the most enjoyable experiences I had, because I knew going in, the first couple meetings were, you know, they were contentious, right? We had some spirited debates. No one yelled at each other like some people like to do up here, one person. But it was spirited. And at the end of the day, we really, really came together with something great. And by the way, one more thing before I leave. I understand he experienced COVID. I don't know what the time period was when he was sick, and I'm sorry that he was sick. But the bottom line is, he mentioned that he had given information to former Councilman Vanek. Well, he has contact with each and every Republican up here. Steve, you weren't here then. He had contact with all of them. There's no reason he couldn't have shared that information. Sick or not, you can share the information, they can pass it along. I'm sure Pat, as a committeeman, would have loved more information. I mean, I brought a folder that's over on my chair that's 3 inches thick of my own research that I did. And I know each and every one of you did it because we could tell by the conversations we had. So, you know, just a lot of falsehoods and things that are being spread by one person who has one sole mission. You know what? Take the vote. If it's 5-1, it's 5-1. The bottom line is, it's passed, it's here for 5 years. While you can tweak it, it ain't going away. So we have to address the business that wants to come into town now. So let's get moving.
Thank you. Anybody else? Maine, what else are you going to tell us about yourself?
I'm healthy.
God bless.
I'm very impressed with your degrees. You should be very proud of it. I don't think it's boasting.
Thank you.
It's honest.
I agree.
Yeah. But y'all know Willie, right? Willie's 89 years old,
God bless him.
has been smoking marijuana longer than I've been alive, and just recovered from COVID.
God bless him.
You guys know Snoop Dogg.
Also, everybody knows I'm on the Public Events Committee, but we could really use help on the Historical
Right, she's
Society.
changing the topic.
Oh, did I miss something?
No, go ahead.
No, all good, man. All good.
Yeah, we really need help on the Historical Society.
Yes,
Anybody who wants to
I
volunteer.
thought you said public events.
she
I'm on
started to.
public events, but I'm also on the Historical
Oh,
Society.
okay.
Is
And I'm
there,
tired.
well, why don't you call a meeting and get it out there? We can help you. I don't know who is it still Jerry Engelmuller, the president?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could talk to her about calling a meeting.
Okay. And we can get
People,
volunteers.
I think she's in the back.
Jerry's
is Jerry in the back, Jerry?
She is.
Thank you.
Is she coming out?
No, I don't hear
Guess
any
not.
footsteps.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait,
Oh,
let it roll. Got two more.
There she is.
oh, here's Jerry.
Come on, Terry.
Justin, 7 Veneer. So I just want to address the public health comments that Mr. McCann keeps, he's very focused on this. I was planning on coming here with a bunch of research, a bunch of university things in support of cannabis. I felt like that was cherry picking, and that's kind of what Mr. McCann did. I wish he was here to defend himself, but he, I feel like we're past this point in the conversation as a community, as a society. It's kind of already been decided as a state that we're implementing this thing into society, and that we need to, the borough's jobs now is to try to implement this as positively and carefully and in a nuanced manner as possible without, the borough already had the chance to opt out, and you guys opted in, so I'm genuinely not here as, a representative of my business. I'm here as a cannabis advocate, and I think that if cannabis is implemented into Oakland, it's not going to change the public health aspect of it. There's already, I know within a 2 mile radius here, I can think of 2 or 3 shops that I can get illicit cannabis, unregulated, like George said in the article, full of heavy metals, E. coli, all these things. The regulation of these substances are nothing but they're nothing but making it safer. It's this unregulated industry is not the way that we should be thinking about this industry and this issue. So I think like everyone else, I think the societal or the town's voices have been heard, and I would really appreciate if the council starts listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Engelmuller.
Jerry Enger, Mueller 24 Lakeview Terrace, and I have to thank Maine here. We had an open house Sunday at the Van Allen House for President's Day, and we had quite a lot of people show up and show a lot of interest. We've been, Mame and I have been uncovering a lot of interesting things there. I had Joanne came and looked at some things about the Crystal Lake Association. Yeah, we'd love to have people come and help. We have a couple of interns from Ramapo College now helping at the Van Allen House, going through sorting
That's
material.
excellent.
So, yeah, I'm sorry you couldn't make it Sunday, but, yeah, I'm sure we'll have to get people. We'd like to have a lot of people. Where's Mr. Richardson? I know he left. He left, okay, he's a longtime resident, and I know
So you really have to get it out to encourage people to join and have a meeting and advertise it to the town.
yeah, that meeting,
Jerry.
that open house was very good, yes.
Chopper's gonna film us 11 o'clock tomorrow, so that'll help.
Yeah, Mr. Eilert was there, yeah, he was there, he's a longtime resident. House with Chopper, yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow at the Van Allen House at 11 o'clock to do some filming at the Van Allen House.
Unfortunately, I'll be in court, so I'll be prosecuting.
But, yeah, we'll have to put it out there on Facebook.
I'll think of
Chopper
you.
will publicize it, and, yeah, we hope to get a lot more people involved.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Anybody else?
Motion
Now
to
is there a
close.
motion?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have
Payment of
bills to
bills.
be read.
Hold on, I think that's me tonight, because,
I guess we're down to, yeah.
yes.
Get those papers together.
Bills to be paid, $1,263,991.22.
So moved. Second.
As long as everybody read the bills list, you can vote. Roll call.
Council members Kamala?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
And, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next meeting is March 8th, right here at 7 o'clock.